Weedsy, we were just asking everybody if you had to describe this team in a single word, what would you say? So what about you?
Resilient.
Good.
Fair.
Like it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think we're starting to see a trend here, right? And this is 6 wins in 7 games here, and 4 of them with some late game magic. And you just have a team that now believes that it can weather the storm, which is a great thing to have in your back pocket when you don't play very well and you can be a little sloppy and you know that you can find it when the game really matters. And they've done a great job of that here over the last month and a half.
Dan, I look at this game and we thought they'd need more offense because the defense wasn't probably going to be up to the task. How fortunate do you feel like they were to lose Jackson Dart? And I say lose it, not like the Bears didn't have something to do with that, but to knock him out of the game, because I don't see a path to victory if Jackson Dart's still in the game doing the things that he was doing.
Well, they were going to have to find answers there. He had 306 total yards through 3 quarters. That's a lot of yardage to be given up to a quarterback who's hurting you with both his arms, his arm and his legs. And so, yeah, it was certainly a pivotal moment in that football game when Russell Wilson came in and certainly didn't look like he was very sharp. But look, there's always a path to victory when the Bears are still within striking distance, and they did a good job of keeping it within striking distance. Look, like with 7 minutes to go in that football game, that game is set up to be a massive missed opportunity for this team. The way the offense had played, only 10 points in their first 8 true possessions, and you just felt like they were a little bit lost, and then to be able to find it there down the stretch. It's part of the team's identity now, and it's not a coincidence. It's not a fluke anymore. It's part of their DNA, and they're going to lean on that as often as they need to.
Our segment with Dan is sponsored by Plumbers 911. Plumbing emergency? Call the plumbing professionals, available 24/7 at 1-833-PLUM-911. It is official for the NFL. The Giants have fired Brian Daboll. You know how we know it's official? Because they've released a statement and they keep saying parted ways. So the Giants statement says relieved of his duties. And Mike Kafka, is this Northwestern's Kafka?
Goodness. I don't know.
Is going to serve as the interim head coach?
That is Mike Kafka.
So let me get this straight. The Bears got a head coach fired and then got a Northwestern guy the job?
Kafka was a candidate. Wasn't he a candidate for the
Bears?
He
did interview. He was one of the 49 people that interviewed for the Bears head coaching job last winter.
Well, looky here. It looks like that interview experience came in handy. What do you think about all this, Dan?
Yeah, the Bears got a coach fired, Dan.
Coach fired by the Bears.
I was honestly thinking about how a year ago we were sitting in these seats talking about Shane Waldron being launched, and then 18 days after that, Matt Eberflus, and how nice it is to be on the other side of this, to be to watch the Bears go and be the reason another organization had to reboot mid-season. Pat Leonard of the New York Daily News came on the podcast last week to kind of give us the survey of the landscape in New York, and felt like this was the direction it was headed. I'm not sure he expected it to be on Monday after this Bears game, but certainly since Brian Daboll won Coach of the Year honors his first year, they haven't been able to sustain much, and that's the secret of this league. And when you can't find enough answers to keep your success sustainable, you run into trouble. There's just so many parallels here to the Matt Nagy situation, where you have a great first season, everybody's imagination runs wild, and then you don't really do anything much after that, and then you draft a quarterback and you're launched without a chance to even see his development through. And so again, it's really nice to not have to have that on our plate, and to let the folks in New York try to figure out what all that means.
Dan, you said something on the podcast last night when we were recording from Soldier Field that resonated with me, and that was because you took a pause. You kind of took your reporter hat off for a second and said, look, the Bears are 6-3 and people need to enjoy it. And then I looked at myself and said, am I enjoying this enough? Am I too jaded to enjoy it? Will you expand on that with our audience in terms of, because we all know this is not a great team yet, but they are 6-3.
It's a scary city to live in, because on the football front, you're just always looking over your shoulder, being like, "Is this too good to be true?" Like what are we waiting for behind us? 6-3 is going to become 6-10 if we're not careful. And there's just always this anxiety and fear that's there. But Grote, I'll be honest with you. For me, and I don't want to overstate this, but it was a little bit of a Kool-Aid game for me yesterday, from the standpoint of what you're getting from Ben and Caleb and Ben. We've talked about them as one entity, And you see that starting to come alive where now you have two people in two very prominent positions capable of giving you exactly what you need from them in game on the line moments. And it just suddenly reduces that trepidation and that fear that you have because you feel like you're in good hands. Standing at Cole Kmet's locker yesterday and hearing him describe his words exactly, the calming patience of Ben Johnson in those late game situations is incredibly profound because this is a guy who's not been around that calming patience a lot during his 6 seasons with the Bears. And then he gets in one of these situations. He's like, look, like you feel as an offense, like you need to start hurrying up. You need to be in 2-minute mode. You need to start going. And Ben he doesn't panic. He doesn't rush. He's got a very well organized and well thought out plan. He puts us in position. And then Caleb obviously has the confidence and the playmaking ability to go make things happen on his own. And the next thing you know, you're walking out of there with a win in a game where you didn't play all that well. And so like, if you can't enjoy suddenly having a quarterback who's capable of winning games late and a coach who doesn't put you in harm's way when there's games on the line, then I don't know what you can enjoy. And I think that this is a joyride right now that people should really lean into.
This segment with Dan Wiederer, sponsored by Great Clips. It's going to be great. Wish I could say the same about the Bears' schedule upcoming, but it's about to take a turn, Dan. And
though. Yes and no, I would say.
Well, no, I think this is a perfect kind of ramp up, if you will. Go win a division game, what would be your first division game win this season on the road, but against the weakest opponent like left remaining in Minnesota, right? So you take a look at what's next for this team, because while we do want to talk about what they've accomplished, and congratulations on surpassing your win total from a season ago, now you're looking at, can this be sustainable? And I feel like we haven't really answered that question, but the potential is there, Dan. You can see it, right?
No question. You're searching for a path to 10 wins, right? Like if we're going to talk about the playoffs and playing meaningful football beyond the finale in January, then you have to find your way to at least 10 wins. And so now the Bears have set themselves up now, if they split these last 8 games, that's 10 wins. And so you've got to take each week's puzzle and try to put it together. They have a tremendous coaching staff capable of doing that. Another big opportunity Sunday against a Vikings team that's a little bit shaken right now. And so you've got your opportunity again to go out and prove who you are. There's a presence to this football team right now, and the best teams I've been around in any sport have that sense of presence of being able to stay where their feet are today and tackle that day's purpose with focus and concentration. And so I think that's going to serve them well as they go forward. They're not going to look beyond this Vikings game, which will be a challenge, but certainly winnable on the road in a division game. And you're going to have to win a few of these division games. You're going to have to win games against people that are also going to be in that playoff picture. You look at that Week 17 game deep down the road against San Francisco, and you say, boy, that's a primetime game that may have a ton at stake. But just stay where you are right now and try to focus on your improvement efforts and hope that when those days come and those games are played, that you're ready for them.
Well, also, Dan, I think when you talk about that discussion surrounding Ben Johnson, to just also have enough in place around him to where the apparatus seems sound, all of that just seems like very foreign territory from what I'm used to.
And it's why people are anxious, because they're not used to it. And it's like, well, this feels too good to be true. And I don't know that it is, right? Like, I think that the Bears went out last winter with eyes on one guy at the top of their coaching candidate list, and they paid him what he needed, and they got him here. And now you're starting to see the fruits of that. And look, I even go back to last Wednesday when Caleb was talking about the energy he gets from knowing he's got a guy like Ben in his corner, right? And so like, you have a really daunting and challenging list of improvements to make as a quarterback, but you do so knowing you're well supported and that you've got a guy who's as invested in that entire process, if not more than you are. And so it does provide a little of that fuel. And so there's some special stuff happening from the head coach's chair that really gives the Bears a chance to go someplace.
There's something really interesting happening to this team too, Dan, and he is one of the official or unofficial partners of the Take the North podcast. That'd be CD Gardner-Johnson. And we were like talking backstage before we came on. We didn't get really too in-depth into it, but guys in sports in Chicago that have just been dropped onto a team and then have made an immediate effect. And I don't know where it goes from here or anywhere with CD Gardner-Johnson, but what have you made of his presence? What did you make of his game yesterday?
Well, those two sacks were fun to watch from our bird's eye view, Grote. Like you saw them coming, even if Jackson Dart and Russell Wilson didn't, right? Like you're just like, oh man, he's coming off the edge and they don't know he's coming. And then he gets there and it just ignites the entire stadium. It like detonates this burst of excitement. And Dennis Allen knows how to use these guys, these blitzers and time them up and set them free to make plays. I think obviously the forced fumble came at a big point in the game where the Bears needed some life on defense to help them get unlocked a little bit, and they got it. Look, when CD Gardner-Johnson got here last week, or 2 weeks ago now, you have this little bit of fear of like, is he going to be able to blend in properly inside this locker room that's got a lot going for it? The Bears seemingly leaned into the energy and the edge that he brings to that defense, and they feel like his swagger can be a valuable addition to this defense. Certainly through 2 games it has been, and now you just want to see that continue down the road. It's down because he sure seemed like an excited player in the locker room after the game yesterday.
Guys, I can't believe I'm saying this.
Uh-oh.
And I've come to this realization.
Layla?
And I don't like the path that I'm going down, and I
Layla.
need you to go down it with me as well, Dan. Doesn't it say a lot about the Bears' actual culture when they're willing to give a shot to a guy that the owner once called a punk, who 2 Bears had punched in the face, and now he is getting the game ball and giving the post-game speech? Doesn't that say more about the team culture?
So first of all, you're a loyal enough listener to take the North to understand that I will not use that word until the Bears have a 9 in their win column. They have to guarantee themselves a winning season before I will use that word. Grote knows very well. That's the
I know.
Which word is this?
That's the
How about
The C word.
Oh, the C
The
word.
C
Got
word.
it.
how about
Got it.
thematic,
Not that
thematic
C word.
approach? How about that?
but so look, like to your point, Layla, you have a group now that feels like they can take some chances, that they can be a little bit more fearless, that they have leadership in their locker room to keep things steady and going in the right direction, and they're going to trust that until it shows itself that it's not worthy of being trusted. And so far so good. Again, it's a small sample size, and you want to continue to watch this team build in the direction where this becomes the norm now, and you're not fearful of the roller coaster ride. You're just on a constant ascent.
Are the Bears good?
They're 6-3. They're good enough to be inside the playoff picture. I think here's where I would go with that, Marshall. The NFL has a very big middle tier. The Bears are safely on that middle tier now, and it is really nice to look down at that bottom tier and say we're not there anymore. Right? Like I think you can safely say that they've gotten past that with the way they've won some of these games, with the way they've taken some of these staggering opponents and knocked them down. And so now you just got to keep going through your process. But I think that they have climbed, right? Like they have climbed from that bottom ugly tier of misfortune and uncertainty to this place where now you can ask the question, are they good? And now they've got 8 more games to answer it, and we don't have to have the answer today, but we do know that they're 6-3, and if the playoffs started today, they'd be the 7th seed.
Do we believe Ben Johnson, or I don't know if it's a matter of belief, is Ben Johnson right when he says in the cold, which there will be plenty more of for the Bears this year, all the drops yesterday was an anomaly?
Well, I trust him that he hasn't seen that being a recurring problem within practice. And so if he thinks it's a little bit of an outlier, then we'll trust him until it's not. Very, very discouraging yesterday to see that volume of catchable passes dropped. I will tell you that the most impressive play of the entire day was the catch that Colston Loveland made on that second to last touchdown drive. Caleb extends the play. It's the play that's going viral on social media for the block that Darnell Wright had on Brian Burns. But Caleb throws a laser, and it is not directly on target to Colston. It's behind him, and he's got to contort his body, and it's almost past him when he gets his body contorted, and somehow he brings that football in. It's a huge catch. I'm actually writing about that play for tomorrow because it is a moment where you have 3 top 10 picks showing off top tier talent in a high leverage moment. And it's a reason you win the football game, because the guys that you invested in highly in the draft contributed in a big way, all at the same time on the same play in a moment where you had to have it.
My 2 biggest takeaways from yesterday, as far as the offense was concerned, Dan, were pretty simple. Caleb Williams is the most elusive quarterback in the NFL. And then the other thing is Colston Loveland, Luther Burden III, 7 targets, 7 catches. Got to get more out of them. Got to see more of them. Do you concur?
What's been great about Luther is that, when he catches the football, he's looking to punish someone after
Yes.
he gets it. And that happened a couple times. And it was definitely a tone-setting reception he had there late in the fourth quarter to kind of keep that momentum going in the right direction. And there was juice to the Bears in those final 7 minutes. And it was fun to see because we haven't always seen that. We didn't see it in week one, the last time they played this opponent that they have coming up this weekend, where it was like you had a chance to go put a game away and you didn't. And then all of a sudden yesterday, you just felt it build, phase by phase by phase, offense, defense, special teams, back to the offense, whatever it took, they were going to get it done. And Burton was a part of that. Obviously, I think these are two back-to-back stacked performances for Loveland. You're starting to see that chemistry come together with Caleb. And these are the things that give your imagination life, where you see these young players with a lot of room for growth still contributing in a big way when games matter.
That is Dan Wiederer, whose next task, I think, will be after you guys made sure that the Bears just lost to normal. Maybe now it's time for them to win normal.
Well said, Layla.
That is the next challenge for sure. And we will be sure to have you on when they get that 9th victory, and we can have a full discussion on that word that you mentioned earlier that I won't say until there's 9
Well,
weeks.
and true to my form is, of course, I think it's the dude bringing it who got punched in the face twice by the team. Like, of course, that's where I find peace.
Layla's
in
also
chaos.
Layla's also raised her hand. She's already on record, Dan, that when someday you and I, when things really dry up and the season is in the off season, our full breakdown of the 2018 season.
I got a real postmortem for you two, and I'm tired of you two interpreting it with one single game, because you got to look at the rest of the NFC playoffs, sir. The rest of it.
Layla believes heavily the Bears would have been stunted.
The Saints were robbed, I tell you.
Wait. What are we talking
We're
about?
talking about 2018.
2018.
Layla believes that the Bears would have been blitzed by the Saints if they had stayed alive in the playoffs.
100%.
Well, they would have had to go to LA the next week, and it looked like, I've said for years that a lot of people have given, they're like, if that kick goes in, the Bears win the Super Bowl. They finished 4 victories short of the Super Bowl.
That's the point. It was either LA or it was the Saints, and I was like, nah, they don't beat either of those teams. And the only reason the Rams even won that game was because of the non-pass interference call. And we'll get into it.
Don't let the numbers get in the way, Dan.
So
Don't
win normal. Win normal is the next
me,
thing.
Alan Robinson agreed to be on our breakdown. I'm sure we could probably get Prince
Like a
full
Prince
round table?
Mukamara. Yeah, you in, Marshall?
No,
Okay.
And I want more slant routes retroactively for Allen Robinson too, and that's another story. Okay, we'll suss that out. Dan, thank you.
Bye, Dan.